And I was muted. Every week we do something like that. What's up? Week 17 for NFL, week 2 for NBA, sort of, if you want to say it like that. For Fantasy Gainz, I'm your host, Squish. That is Kyle. Kyle, how are we? It's our first show of 2021. Starting the new year off right.
I mean, is it? It's not 2021 quite yet. I mean, we're
Are we
New
sure?
New Year's has not quite happened yet. It is December 30th, so we're almost there. Next week will be. But yeah, I'm excited for NFL. I mean NBA. NBA is back. It's been in full swing.
We got
NFL,
Jor in the house.
Week 17 NFL. I'm excited. We got a lot of stuff rolling right now.
I'm excited too. NBA is fun to watch while it's back. Things are heating up already. You're seeing who is distancing themselves already at an early date. And you're seeing some teams come out struggling. First, we're going to get to our giveaway winner. You're going to be getting a sweatshirt. You got to be watching this. We're not tweeting this out.
Bang, yeah.
The winner, you'll see it on your screen, at J. Bradley Wilson. Congrats, you get a sweatshirt. So if you want to comment on the Twitch, comment on YouTube, if you want to DM us, you want to send us a tweet, we will get you that sweatshirt. We can also DM you too. We know what your Twitter is, so we would be a little selfish if we didn't do that, right, Kyle?
Yes, of course. And, you got to send it, put in your size and all that, shipping address, all that good stuff. And then you get that excellent
You have
sweatshirt.
to tweet out a picture of you wearing it too. It's like, I know you're not getting a quarter zip like this. Pretty, it's pretty nice quarter zip. You'll be getting a sweatshirt for the cold months.
I don't know if you want to be flaunting that, because there'll be some people now asking to have that very nice pullover that we are fortunate to have access to.
Well, if they want it, they can pay me. I can be bought. There's really no price that I'll say no to.
Toss out your Venmo.
Yeah, toss out my Venmo. All right, a quick look back at last week. We had a couple plays each that hit. NFL and NBA, one each, really. Kyle, your NFL pick that could have done better if he scored a touchdown, but targets were there, receptions, yards also, was Allen Robinson at 1.3, finished with 22.49. If only he found the end zone. If only. It would have been a huge day.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good the last few weeks since Trubisky's taken over that starting job. The Bears as a whole have looked like one of the best offenses in the league, unbelievably, since Trubisky has been back. It's crazy. That was my stack in my strategy article. I had Trubisky, David Montgomery, and Allen Robinson. So it's a pretty good stack against that terrible Jacksonville Jaguars defense. So, and Robinson, I don't know if the revenge game thing was on his mind, but, it's always out there when you're playing against your former team. So who knows? He probably, realized that Jacksonville sucked and they let him go, and he was giving them some payback. So good game for him.
Good game for him. Also, your NBA play that hit, Jason Tatum. I believe he had 62, just over 62 at 1.2x, and it's going to be a big season for Jason Tatum, we believe.
Yeah, he was solid. I mean, I feel like when you are at I feel like you kind of want a little bit more from him, even though 62 is still a decent number, I feel. But when you're picking him, you would want a little bit more. But, overall, a pretty solid start to the season for him. He's going to have, with Kemba Walker out, he's the main guy for the Celtics, and he's going to have to, carry the load every night. And so he's going to be scoring fantasy points from, the rebounds, points, steals, assists, every category in the book. He's going to be putting up numbers there. So, I think you're going to be able to rely on him pretty consistently over the course of this season. And then hopefully his his multipliers around the 1.2 range, just because that's when you can get him at his best value.
Yep, I had a couple plays too. One of them was another Celtic, Jeff Teague, who you were you were pretty wrong on, Kyle. I was pretty spot on. 0.3% owned, 69.56 at 1.75x.
Wow.
I even saw that we got somebody commenting on Twitter. Like, yeah, you guys did great, but you missed a whole lot though. And I replied, well, you're right, because we only picked 2 people each, and I only picked 1. I was like, so yes, you're right, sir. We missed out on a lot. Don't quit your day job, sir, whoever you are. I didn't lose sleep over it, though. And J.D. McKissick at 1.55x. A touchdown kind of saved me, 2.6%. Oh, not a huge day. 29.76. That's an interesting situation there in Washington, what they're going to do. They released Dwayne Haskins. And
rough.
Right. Yeah, right. They have to win to get in the playoffs, right? That's what they got to do. It's definitely an interesting time there to be a football team fan.
Yeah.
All right.
I think real quick, the Eagles are good. I think the Eagles are gonna beat them, even though they have nothing to play for. That's how bad the Washington professional football team is.
All right. We'll see. That defense though is pretty good. But Jalen Hurts, that kid, he proved already that he is nothing to be messed with. A lot of people messed up passing on him maybe. NBA must starts. Kyle, you had Lillard and Tatum last week. Who are we rolling with a must start on this Wednesday slate, which, by the way, starting pretty soon?
I know. We got an hour, I believe, until that slate starts. So I'm going to be going with a guy who is not a star. I was leaning towards the stars with Lillard and Tatum last week, but this week I'm going with Dylan Brooks as my must start, who is playing very well so far to start. 2 games. The sample size is very small, obviously. Averaging 20 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds per game, 39.1 fantasy points per game. And, what is even better is you factor in his 1.65x multiplier. That boosted up to 64.6. And this is not anything that's, out of the ordinary really for Dylan Brooks. Like, he was the 3rd option last year for Memphis, and he put up 16 points, 3 rebounds and 2 assists for the Grizzlies last year. And now things have drastically changed for them after John Morant got hurt the other night. And he's going to be out for a while. And Jaren Jackson is already out with a torn ACL. So all of a sudden now Dylan Brooks is going to be the number 1 option for the Grizzlies. So I think he's going to have the ball in his hands quite a bit during this time when Morant is out. And I think playing against the Celtics, who have looked very shaky to start the season defensively. Every team they played so far, they've had a perimeter guy go off, like Oladipo in the game last night. Kyrie went crazy in the Nets game. Middleton did his thing in the game against Milwaukee. So there's been a perimeter guy that's burned the Celtics so far this year. And I think Dylan Brooks, with his usage rate going way up with Morant out, I think he's going to be poised to put up big numbers. And, you would think, 2 games, he's averaging 24 and 4, and that's even with Morant in the lineup. So he still has gotten his shots. And I think now it's just the floodgates are going to open up for him. So, yeah, I think
agree. We're going to be talking about later another Grizzlies player against that Celtics defense too. I think a lot of people are going to be on a lot of Grizzlies because of all those things you just said. And it's probably good chalk. That's what you would say. These guys, maybe they're chalk, but they're chalk for a reason. I think they're going to provide a lot, especially tonight against the Boston team. I'm going with your brother, your long-lost brother at 1.6x, Dennis Schroeder.
Oh.
It's not spelt the same way, but you guys look pretty similar.
It's not pronounced the same way either, unfortunately. It's Dennis Schroeder, but
Schroeder, not Schroeder.
I will allow it. It was really cool hearing it when he first came into the league with the Hawks. I've never seen any professional athletes or any famous people at all with the last name Schroeder, and so it was cool. Everyone's saying, the announcer saying the last name Schroeder when he was on the TV, but that's besides the point.
All right, you see there, he's locked in as the starter. He's facilitating to guys like LeBron, guys like Davis. He's going to get assist numbers. He's played well so far this season, averaging 17, 6, and 6. That's 50.8 when you add it all together with his current multiplier. And if LeBron sits, LeBron carries the ball up most of the time, right? If LeBron sits, which he's been game time decision, I'm not sure if that's changed or anything like that. Even if he does play, it's going to provide good value. But if he sits, the value is limitless there for me. San Antonio has been burned by point guards this season. Offensively, they've been putting up points. San Antonio, they can't stop a point guard to save their lives. Starting point guards are averaging over 25 points, 9 assists, 2.3 rebounds, and 3 steals to point guards this season. All right. He's in a spot here where he can do some damage. And he's a guy who, even if the Lakers go up big, I don't expect them to because of how valuable that Spurs offense has been. If they go up big, he's not exactly going to be sitting. I think they're going to want to see what he has and have them meld with this group a little bit more. So I like Dennis Schroeder at 1.6x at my must start tonight. And guys, if you haven't heard about our All-Star program, Kyle, maybe you have, but the viewers, maybe they haven't. Maybe Jor doesn't know about this. He could benefit. You should probably know about it. If you refer 5 people, get them to deposit. Standard minimum deposit $10. You become a SuperDraft All-Star. Obviously, Jor's already a SuperDraft All-Star, but you have that status. We all know about the $20 you would receive for each referral. That's $100 total for the 5. That's a no-brainer. But you would get a swag bag too to rep that SuperDraft swag when you're at home on the Zoom. You know, these colors pop over Zoom. You don't have to go out because it is a pandemic. Show it off on Zoom when your work calls, get people talking about it. Plus, you get commission on your referrals. So when the people that you refer, it just keeps coming. You just keep getting cash. And you get to rep the SuperDraft brand that we all know and love. All right. Kyle.
I don't understand why anyone passed that up. It's all this merch. It's all this free money coming in.
All you got to do is send a link.
Swag.
Oh, he's an all-star already. Of course.
Send a link. You copy the link. You paste it into your email or text, and you send it to somebody that hasn't signed up. Boom. There's all your free money. Free money.
You're losing money if you don't do it. This is a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Absolutely.
All right. NBA long shots. Kyle, you didn't have a long shot last week, but this week
I did not. So this week we have I feel like this is not really a long shot. It's more of a great value play.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the Spurs, and we're going to stay on the Spurs right now with Keldon Johnson, who is at 1.9x. He has been he was a rookie last season out of Kentucky for the Spurs. Did not play a lot to start the season. Was not really, not really involved at all. But once the Spurs got to the bubble and they kind of LaMarcus Aldridge was out, and they kind of went full youth movement with their young guys with DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, and now Keldon Johnson. Johnson really shined in those 8 games in the bubble for the Spurs, playing 28 minutes per game and scoring 14 points with 5 boards. He has a lot of potential with his ability to shoot the ball from the outside. He has great athleticism. He can pass it a little bit. And we've seen that to start these first 3 games where he's averaging 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists in 30 minutes per game through the first 3 games. He's averaging 35.4 fantasy points per game. That is, when you factor in his multiplier, that's 67.3 fantasy points per game with his multiplier. I mean, that's like an unheard of number when, that average is better than Giannis, better than Harden, all these guys. So I think, I think that with, what he's shown in the bubble, like, this is not you would think that, like, if you didn't see anything besides these first 2 games, you're like, oh, I don't know, Keldon Johnson, it's kind of a fluke. 2 starts, just 2 games to start the season. But, he proved himself in the bubble. So I think this is a player that this is a player that's going to continue to produce at this level. And we're not going to see him at 1.9x for very much
long,
longer. Yeah, and he
that
comes out of
offense,
that.
they've been scoring like crazy, that Spurs offense. We talked about it. They've been scoring a ton.
And they've been playing at a ridiculously high pace. Popovich has kind of changed up they were kind of playing a little bit slower with DeRozan and Aldridge, but now they've really focused on speeding up the pace, and it's catered to guys like Johnson. And Johnson is a Kentucky guy, and the Spurs have done a great job of developing players. So I think he's going to be he's a huge value get at 1.9.
Absolutely. He was one of our X factors from the first week. I believe he had something like 87 points one night with his multiplier. And like Kyle said, he's not going to be there very long. Yep. My guy too, he's not really a long shot. I guess he is because he's a backup, but it's more of a high value play too. It's Tyus Jones at 1.8x for the Grizzlies. We teased this earlier. He's the starting point guard with Ja Morant out. I think he's going to be lower owned than Dylan Brooks because of Brooks's usage so early in the season. I saw a lot of people talking about Kyle Anderson as well. I like that play, but I'm pretty sure Tyus Jones is going to be lower owned than both of them. Last year, 7 games of 24-plus minutes, averaged 10.3, 6.6, 2.6, and 1.5 steals per game. Boston, we talked about the Spurs having trouble guarding point guards. Boston guarding point guards, just as bad. They've allowed 27 points per game, 6 assists, 5 boards, in over 1 steal per game for point guards. I like Tyus Jones here. He's going to have the ball in his hands. Like we talked about, they're plagued with injuries. Ja Morant gone. Dylan Brooks is going to score. I think Tyus Jones, if he can get you 12 points, 8, 9 assists, a few steals and rebounds in there, I'm not saying he's going to break the slate, but I'm over 60 points confident saying Tyus Jones is going to grab tonight against that Boston team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like he's proved when he's had the opportunity to play that he's a competent player. I mean, he's not setting the world on fire or anything, but he does have the ability to, put up some points. And he is a decent passer at the point guard position. So, I think going with someone like Dylan Brooks, or I think I would like it better than Kyle Anderson. Like Kyle Anderson, I just don't believe the numbers that he's putting up. We've never seen this level of play from him before. So I think, as you said, Tyus Jones is not going to be as high owned as him because he hasn't been as productive in his career. Yeah. But so I think that's an opportunity that you can take advantage
pivot
of
a little bit.
Not a bad choice by you, sir.
All right, NBA is done. Now we are heading to the NFL, and what better way to start the new year off right than taking down the $50,000 red zone contest we have on Sunday? You can take home the $10,000 first place prize, right? It only costs you $20 to start 2021 off with a bang. Kyle, what would you do with that money? First thing in the new year, what would you do?
To be honest, I'm a very cheap person.
You're very frugal. You're frugal. Don't call yourself cheap.
I'm extremely frugal. I don't really go. I'm not a big spender, but I think I would buy myself a nice Pinot Noir that I couldn't typically afford. So not a yeah. Oh, you think that's funny?
No, I just thought it was you're a wine guy. I love it. I remember the last time I saw Kyle, I brought him over some wine because I know how much he likes it.
I'm a big fan of wine. It's a very nice drink. So I would do that, and I would also put it in my bank account because I'm a responsible person. So, but
I think I'd buy a bunch of cookies.
Not a bad option. Cookies are great. So if you want to either buy wine or buy cookies or whatever, one guy that you have to have in your lineup for this week is Ezekiel Elliott, who has been really disappointing this part of the season, most of the season really.
Yeah.
And he's been kind of asleep. And then I think, Pollard getting in there and having that huge game really kind of lit a fire under his ass a little bit. Maybe I'm not so irreplaceable for this Dallas Cowboys team. And what he did against I think that motivated him against the Eagles, and he came out and looked like the old Zeke Elliott with 19 carries, 105 yards, 17.9 fantasy points against the Eagles. His multiplier right now is still 1.3, so it hasn't really accounted for this level. Like when Zeke was at his best, his multiplier is 1.05, 1.1 in that range. But his multiplier justifiably moved down to 1.3 because of his poor play. And I think the old Zeke is back now. We saw what he did against the Giants in their first matchup. It was his best performance of the year, 23 fantasy points, had 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Giants were really good to start the year against the run. And I think the last few weeks, they've gotten just ran over in the running game. Last week against Baltimore, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins ran all over the Giants last week. And that's put them at 23rd in fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs.
Yeah, they've been trending down.
Yes, they're trending downwards at this point in the season. So I think Zeke is going to have a monster game. And I think he's going to probably provide a lot of value in your lineup at 1.3x. So you can get that $5,000 to buy Pinot Noir, cookies,
no, it's
whatever
10.
you want.
It's $10,000. Come on.
$10,000. My
I just did the promo. Were you listening?
I misspoke, sir. It happens.
Wow.
I'm not all people are perfect like you.
That's true.
Apparently you're
I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. But you see there, yes. 10,000 a first, $20 entry.
10,
and I didn't even realize this.
10,000, yeah.
3 out of 4 of our NFL players are Cowboys.
Oh boy.
I got 2 Cowboys.
So we know what the stack is going to be, right? I mean,
no, I'm not. Stacks are gone. No more stacks. No more pancakes for your boy here. But my must start, I'm going with the Red Rifle. Andy Dalton at 1.65. That value for a starting quarterback for a team that has to win. They need to win. It's a must-win game. And you said it. The Giants' defense, they're trending down. Cowboys' offense trending up. The last 3, they've averaged 36 points. 36 points per game in their past 3. Andy Dalton has 4 straight games with multiple touchdown passes. He has gotten through to this offense. I didn't think we'd see it. We saw it a little bit with Dak. Then Dalton came in. Then DiNucci. The offense looked abysmal.
Oof. Oh, awful.
The Cowboys are slinging the ball around right now. And Andy Dalton is at the head of that in his last 6, 13 touchdowns to 4 picks, 31.3 multiplier fantasy points per game in that span. I know he had a big week last week, which inflates that, but it helps my argument, so that's why it's up on the screen.
Yeah, fair.
And we might as well just talk about the other Cowboy right now while we can.
Yeah, go for it. Nail it.
CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I like him as my long shot. Kyle said he's not really a long shot. I consider him a long shot because he's only seen 6 targets per game in his last 5. He has games where they don't get targeted, or he doesn't get targeted. Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup are both there. But again,
Gallup's
I talked about James Bradbury a couple weeks ago. We'll do it again. He is on the Giants defense. He is a top corner. He's going to be nowhere near CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, we talked about this a couple weeks too. Runs out of the slot.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3 touchdowns in his past 2 games. One of them was that onside kick return for a touchdown, but I'm counting it because you got points for that. And in those last 2 weeks, 31, just over 31 multiplier fantasy points per game. He's a long shot in my mind just because of the targets. And 1.6, a Dalton, Lamb, juicy, little small mini stack.
Toss Zeke in there, and you got a delicious full stack right there for you. That is a nice Cowboys stack that for week 17 that you're going to be eating up like Zeke after you have that stack. So yeah, I'm with you with CeeDee Lamb. Like he and Dalton has finally been able to gain his confidence these last few games, and take advantage of his talent around him. So yeah. I'm on board with you there.
Imagine if Dak was on this team.
Oh my God, they'd be running away with the NFC East. So they would the team that won the NFC East would actually be above 500 and not be a complete disgrace to the NFL. And what's even more of a disgrace is if the Cowboys somehow blow this game and Philly loses, the Giants are going to win the division at 6-10. The Giants.
Let's go, baby. The G-Men.
10. And all the Giants.
My Giants.
Like, oh, yeah. here we go. We're gonna beat Brady again in the wild because they're gonna play the Bucks in the wild card game and they're gonna be losing their minds. It's gonna be insufferable if they make the playoffs. I can't stand Giants fans. Anyway,
I now want that to happen very much. But go ahead.
I'll be very upset if the Giants. I'm gonna be rooting so hard for the Bucks to annihilate the Giants if that happens. Anyway, so I'm going with for my full slate long shot. I'm going with Sam Darnold. I mean, going with a Jets player. I know this seems kind of crazy, but I'm doing it anyway. This is more of a long shot that I think that CeeDee Lamb is, in my personal opinion.
All right, Kyle, get to it or I'll mute you.
382 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, 15.6 fantasy points per game in his last 2. When
you don't have
pretty solid.
You slow down. Breathe, Kyle. We got plenty of time. You just got to breathe.
I wasn't rushing. I was just trying to get through these facts,
I'm just trying to get in your head.
Stats.
I'm just trying to get in your head.
So Joe Flacco against the Patriots. He played against the Patriots. Sam Darnold did not. And he had a pretty good game, 21.48 fantasy points against the Patriots in their first game. And I think Sam Darnold is more than capable of having a game like that this week against the Patriots, who just got completely embarrassed on Monday Night Football by the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Gilmore is not there right now for the Patriots. And Patriots have nothing to play for. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold has a pretty solid game. And at 1.75, that's a lot of juice for a quarterback. So I think there's a chance that he could pop off a little bit and shock some people with his performance. So
I agree, because the Jets, I mean, they already lost the number 1 pick. What do they have, the number 2 or 3 pick locked up now? I haven't looked at that, but I can't imagine a win here is really going to hurt their draft standings because they're not getting Trevor Lawrence anyway.
And Darnold needs some he needs to show off his skills a little bit here to audition for other teams to get another contract or to get traded or something. So he has the motivation to continue to play well. I think Sam, I would like him on the Patriots, to be honest. I mean, he wouldn't be a bad succession option to Cam Newton. Maybe for a couple of years. I'm not saying throw all your eggs in the Sam Darnold basket immediately or for the long term, but I think he'd be a solid option for the Patriots going forward, and I like him this week.
I think Sam Darnold's going to be a great play this week, 100%. Like all the reasons you said, if I'm playing a contest, I got one lineup. Why not? I'm throwing Sam Darnold. That juicy multiplier with that embarrassing Patriots defense.
Embarrassing. Wow. That's
a
strong word.
You said it. You said they got embarrassed by the Jets or by the Bills. They've looked embarrassing. Their whole team has looked embarrassing. And what better way to cap off the 2020 season for this New England Patriots team than to get destroyed by Sam freaking Darnold?
That would be, to be honest, there is a path for them to get the 9th pick in the NFL draft. So as a Patriots fan, I hope Sam Darnold and the Jets emasculate them in week 17. And we have these other teams win, there has to be like 5 other things that go right. I don't know what, I don't know them on the top of my head, but if that happens and they get the 9th pick, there we go. Bill Belichick finally gets a top 10 pick, which he will probably trade for like 5 second-round picks anyway. So why am I even getting excited about that?
You heard it.
It's
the Jets. They're going to eviscerate. They're going to emasculate.
I hope so. I'm not predicting that. I just hope it happens because I want the draft. There's nothing to gain at this point in the season. Nothing. Because guess what? Cam Newton's probably going to start again, and he's going to provide. It's going to be a waste of time. Like that game on Monday night for Patriots fans, waste of time. I should have just taken a walk instead of walk outside my apartment instead of watch that football game. I mean, come on. So
you can let it all out. I know you're a Patriots fan now. Now your team is not doing
Sam
so hard. You can let it out.
I think Sam Darnold's going to look pretty good. Jamison Crowder's back. Denzel Mims looked pretty good. Herndon scored a touchdown last week.
Yep.
I like it.
I do too. And one more time, our giveaway winner at J. Bradley Wilson. Let us know if you're here, if you're listening. Hit us up. If not, we will DM you. But I'm going to do it on my own sweet time. All right? I'm going to do it on my own sweet time. about 10, 15 minutes, I'll DM you. Don't worry. Jay Bradley Wilson. All right, guys. Week 17, almost in the books. NBA is just heating up. I'm excited. I've been watching a bunch of NBA.
Wow.
I know it'll change pretty soon because I really don't care. This has been Fantasy Gainz presented by SuperDraft. That is Kyle. I am Squish. I guess we're rolling with the Cowboys and the Grizzlies big this week. We'll see you next week. Ooh, in 2021. Wow.
See you
Have a
next
great year, everybody.